Hello, everyone, and welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Tats, and I'm continuing on with my mission to talk about Boris Karloff films. Not all of them, but quite a few. And this one here is from 1963, and I've always liked this movie. I remember seeing this movie when I was really little. We saw it on late night cable, and just over the years, I've seen it. And the movie I'm talking about is The Terror, and this is easily one of the most easiest movies you could ever find. It's produced and directed by Roger Corman. The only thing I'm kind of curious about, sorry, just I keep looking at it, it's like, who the hell are all these women on the cover here? It's like, there's not that many, there's really only like two women characters in the entire movie. And, like, they're not all, these buxom beauties that, end up in a spider's web, so it's just always so funny, when movie posters lie to you. But I've always liked this movie, and I'm actually having fun being able to talk about it. I think the best thing I can say about this movie is that this movie is a good example of when you can accomplish something good when you got talent, when you got really good talented people in front of the camera and behind the camera. It's like you don't need to have a ton of money to do it, because this movie was very, very, very low budget. A lot of it, pretty much Corman financed the movie himself. And, the movie was done after when they were completing shooting on The Raven. As a matter of fact, everybody knew that's what Corman did. He just scraped up what little money he could, and he would just, come up with ideas for movies, and at this point, he was doing The Raven, and then he decided he wanted to do something else, which was kind of a Poe-inspired flick. And he was just like, don't tear down the sets that they use for, don't tear down the sets that they use for, The Raven, because he was going to turn around and just use those and make another movie out of it. And, you know, and he just decided, what I'm going to do? He's like, so he hired a writer, Leo Gordon, and he told him, like, I want you to, do some writing. And, it's like, I want you to write enough material so I can shoot an actor for 2 days. And I guess the first idea was that he was going to try to get Vincent Price to do this, but Vincent Price, I think, had other obligations. So he reached out to Boris Karloff and told him, "He's like, I'll pay you. I think it was $1,500 for like 2 days work or something. Plus, he would get like cut of the profits, if I remember correctly." And Karloff said, "Okay, it's like." But it wasn't without its peril, because there is a scene where Karloff is being drowned in the movie, and they say like, but he was getting paid for 2 days work, and pretty much when you watch this movie, all of Karloff's scenes are shot in like 2 days, and you know at one point they were doing shooting with him in a water tank, so it got pretty perilous. He did almost drown. He was Karloff was up in age at this point. I think he was in his 60s, maybe even up into his 70s almost, when he did this film. And so yeah, but he survived. He got through it. But they shot all of his scenes out in 2 days, and then he moved on. And then from my understanding, it took quite a while for this movie to get finished, filming. As a matter of fact, if you read the back of the synopsis here on the Blu-ray, it says that this underground favorite was made in classic Roger Corman fashion, making the most of his resources to bring yet another film to life on a minimal budget for his producers at American International Pictures. Short on time himself, there were more movies to be made. Corman left it to a few of the aspiring directors within his crew, among them Jack Hill, a young Francis Coppola, and even Jack Nicholson took a turn behind the camera for a few scenes to help see the film to completion. So yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, and you could tell there was talent on this movie. You had Jack Hill. Jack Hill also helped co-write the screenplay. Francis Ford Coppola, as it says here, like he did a little bit of directing, and he was an associate producer on the film. And apparently even Nicholson himself, it was like this was one of Jack Nicholson's early starring roles. I don't think this is his first movie, but it's definitely in his early days. Definitely like way, way, way before he became the Jack Nicholson that we all knew and loved. So as a matter of fact, there he is right there. There's young Jack Nicholson. So, but The story does feel very much like one of the Poe adaptations that Corman was doing at the time, and honestly, this is a really good movie. And if you like the Roger Corman Poe movies, I would say give this movie a shot if you haven't seen it. It's the easiest movie in the world to find. Trust me. It's on every. You can find it on any streaming platform. It's on Vudu. I think it's on. Yeah, it's on Tubi. I believe it's on Pluto. I think it's. I mean, pretty much any free. It's probably. I'm sure you probably find it like Amazon Prime and stuff like that. I mean, the movie's available. It's so easily available. Well, it's a public domain movie. That's why. But also too. I mean, it's like this movie DVD. I'm not sure if this Blu-ray is still in print. This Blu-ray may be out of print by now, but you might still be. You can easily find it on any like $5 DVD. $5 DVD pack or anything like that. So I mean, yeah, this movie not hard to find. Easiest movie in the world. Get your hands on. I'm sorry, I'm over 6 minutes in. I haven't even talked about the story yet. Sorry about that, but the story, the main character in the story really is Jack Nicholson's character. He plays a French soldier named Andre. He is in Napoleon's army, but he gets lost, and he's traveling in the countryside, and he's by the ocean, and he falls off of his horse, and he sees a beautiful woman, and the woman in the movie goes by two names, either Helene or Ilsa, and the woman was played by I believe the actress's name was Sandra Knight, who actually was Jack Nicholson's wife at the time, and because Corman was just like, well, we need a actress for the role, and Nichols is, what about my wife? And Corman apparently was just okay, and so, but so anyway, Andre, he's lost, he's disoriented, and he meets this woman who she calls herself Helene, and so he's like, please, I'm dying of thirst, I need water. So she gives him water to drink, and so he's trying to talk to her, but she's very ominous and very mysterious, and she keeps disappearing. And at one point, he collapses, and then he finds himself awakened in the cottage of this old woman, and she has a kind of like a guy who kind of like works for her, does like odd jobs and stuff, named Gustav, and that was actually played by Jonathan Haze, who, he was definitely quite a member of the Roger Corman troupe back in those days. You'll remember him as the star of the Little Shop of Horrors, and so anyway, they're talking, and Jack Nicholson keeps trying to inquire about the girl, and this old woman says there is no girl and all this stuff. And Gustav, gets him alone for a minute, tells him, go to the castle and, talk about Eric and everything else. There is a girl here, and so Jack Nicholson continues his journey to this castle of the Baron von Lepp, who's played by our man Boris Karloff, and then in true kind of Poe-esque fashion, or kind of Poe Roger Corman fashion. So Jack Nicholson is the young romantic lead in the film, and he's wanting to know about who this girl is and what is going on, and then you get that kind of classic gothic story about, and Boris Karloff tells him about how actually this woman is kind of a ghost that's been reincarnated to get revenge on him, and she was his wife, and they had gotten married. And this was like 20 years before, like they had gotten married, and Karloff went off to serve in the army. And then when he came home to his wife, he found his wife with a man, and the man was Eric. And so Karloff killed his wife. This man Eric was killed by Stefan, who is Karloff's kind of henchman, servant, butler, who's played by Dick Miller. And so now the woman, she's coming to get revenge. She wants to basically, get back at him for what had happened, and the idea is for him to kill himself so that the two of them can be, reunited in all eternity, which, but then we come to find out there's a little bit of a twist. It turns out that actually the old woman that Nicholson's character Andre encounters at the beginning of the movie, actually she's the mother of Eric, who was the lover of the Baron's wife. And really what it is she made a pact with Satan to bring the girl Helena Ilsa back from the dead to get revenge on the Baron and to for the death of her son. And I think that's probably the best place to leave it at. I think I pretty much told you more than I probably should have already, but and then it's up for Jack Nicholson to be our young hero, and and to try to solve the mystery and figure out a way to handle the situation, and there we go. So yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. I think I've said way too much already. I probably gave away more than I should have. But this movie is it's a genuinely good film, and like I said, this movie is really a good example when you watch this. It is low budget. You can tell it's low budget. The sets are very limited, but you can tell if you look at it, you can tell that they are just using sets left over from The Raven, and you can clearly see it. It's not hard to make out, but at the same time, you don't really care. The story is kind of very threadbare, but it is there, and what they did with it, considering that Corman was going after Leo Gordon and Jack Hill, like write me a script and write something. I think they said it was like I need a 60-page script that can be shot in like 2 days, and all this kind of stuff. Hurry up and get it done, and all this kind of. So I mean, everybody was under incredible pressure to get this movie made, and I think when you look at it, it's like it does feel a little bit rushed at times, and it probably could have benefited from a little bit bigger budget and be opened up a little bit more for scope, but still, I think when you consider the conditions that this film was made in and the talent in front of and behind the camera, I think that's what really, really makes this movie worth watching. I think it's really impressive that you had, an old veteran actor like Boris Karloff, who is giving a really good performance. I mean, that's one thing you can say about Karloff. I never, from the movies of him that I've seen, it never seemed like he ever phoned it in. It always seemed like Karloff always gave his best shot. And and to figure, you had young actors like both Dick Miller and Jack Nicholson, who like over the years they became amazing legends themselves. Some of the best actors in the industry. But at the time, they were compared to Karloff. They were pretty much young and inexperienced and just kind of working their way up. And yeah, I mean, like Jack Nicholson, in the scenes where he and Karloff are, kind of squaring off and everything else, Nicholson really holds his own. So I mean, for a young actor, and all that against a veteran like Karloff, that was pretty impressive to see. But that doesn't take away from Karloff. Karloff still is a scene stealer, and he is a star in this movie, and he's amazing. And so yeah, definitely watch it for Karloff. And but like I said, Dick Miller is no slouch in this movie either. Dick Miller gives a really, really good, inspired performance, and he kind of. I think what's kind of interesting is Dick Miller's character because he does kind of toe that line between being, kind of a good guy one minute and a villain the next minute. Sorry, my throat's really dry. But honestly, yeah, I definitely recommend this movie if you can. I'm not gonna sit here and say if you can find it. I mean, trust me, just look for it. It's not hard to find, I promise you. But yeah, in the movie, it's only 79 minutes, so it's just under 80. So yeah, time wise, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's it does really and it's the movie. Even for a very low budget picture, it is completely brooding with atmosphere and. There are sets that they granted they're recycled sets, but Corman knew how to make the most of it, and so did his young talent. It's like Coppola and Jack Hill and everybody else. I mean, they made a snazzy little picture out of this. So I would definitely say, yeah, if you like the Roger Corman / kind of Poe inspired horror films and stuff, if you've never seen The Terror, definitely give it a shot. And especially too if you're interested in seeing young Jack Nicholson and young Dick Miller and everything else, I say definitely give it a shot. So that's it. So if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, would you please leave it a like? If you haven't already, go and subscribe to the BodyBags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I am the Saturday reviewer. I'm working with a really bunch of great guys, and everybody's doing really good stuff. And I know I say it every week, but I really am. I am honored to be in their company. I'm honored to be a part of this team. And so that's it, everybody. So take care, have a good night, and I'll see you later.